Srila Govinda Maharaj is very, he had the connection of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who is a very great high devotee, and anyone who's read any of his books about Guru, about Gauranga Mahaprabhu, about the progression of Krishna consciousness and the nature of our entanglement in the material world, very fine, high intelligence that he exhibits. Anyway, when Srila Govinda Maharaj arrived at Srila Sridhar Maharaj's ashram, immediately Srila Sridhar Maharaj, this is in the late 40s, maybe 47, I think, Srila Sridhar Maharaj immediately saw this boy will be my successor, because he had that kind of pure energy. He was like a great high devotee from, who knows, many births before or coming down from above. Nobody can say, but with great spiritual development. So anyway, Srila Govinda Maharaj was with us as Acharya from the departure of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Actually, Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him his seat about a year before he actually departed from this world. So this was maybe 1986, Srila Govinda Maharaj got the chair of Acharya. 87, Srila Sridhar Maharaj disappeared from the world, and Srila Govinda Maharaj continued his the teaching in the line of Srila Sridhar Maharaj until 2010, when he departed from the world. So anyway, he's a great soul, and this is a glorification. Traditionally in the Vaishnava line, the Guru always has both a pranam mantra, which is a developed mantra that gives glorification to him, and also oftentimes there's a song like this, a bhajan or kirtan, that we can chant and meditate on and try to enter into the beautiful energy and feeling of Srila Govinda Maharaj. He had such an open heart. Each acharya displays a particular individual character and nature. And Srila Govinda Maharaj was, so loving and so open and so freely in giving his affection that everyone was touched by him. Anyway, I just wanted to do a little introduction about Srila Govinda Maharaj. We'll read this. All glories to the effulgent arti of Sri Gurudev, which is going on at the foot of Govardhan, benefiting the whole world. So he wanted to live by Govardhan. So the vision of this arti is that it's going on where he, at his the place of his heart place of kirtan, his heartfelt kirtan, place of they call bhajan kutir, a place where the great souls reside. Anyway, this is talking about Govardhan, which is a very sacred place, and a place where Krishna lifted a hill and defeated Indra. There's a whole story behind that. Anyway, Gurudev loved Govardhan, and today we have an ashram there with his beautiful samadhi. Pushpa samadhi means he's not actually there, but he's there in his the presence of his transcendental energy. And anyway, Govardhan is a very high, beautiful place, and Gurudev wanted to be there. So we say this arti for Srila Gurudev is going on at Govardhan. All glories to Sri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswami, who is our supreme master and is like a reservoir of joy. Goswami Govinda Jaya Anandera Kani. His graceful long hands touch his knees, and his body is beautiful and transcendental. He is an ocean of infinite genius and transcendental qualities. We consider your real identity to be non-different from Krishna and Gauranga. Do we have another chair? But now, to deliver... Hare Krishna. But now, we're reading a glorification of our great Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, who was with us from as Acharya from 1986 to 2010. And we've just sung an arti glorifying him, and I'm reading the English translation taken from the original Bangla. And this kind of Bangla is called Sadhubhasya, which means it's written by practitioners of devotional life who are very much connected with the higher realm. So they use a lot of Sanskrit in their words. It's like in Hindi, there's Braj. Braj is a very Sanskritized form of Hindi. Similarly, Sadhubhasya is a very Sanskritized form of Bangla. So this is Sadhubhasya, and in glorification of Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. So, but now to deliver this material world, you have assumed the form of a pure devotee. You are brightening the line of the followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. Your effulgence, which is comparable to that of the sun, is known throughout the whole world. There is no one like you to preach pure devotion. You are the spotless moon, and you are merciful like Lord Nityananda. So this particular, these two verses talk about he's in the line coming from Rupa Goswami, who is many people say the principal disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose murti is there. And he sat down in Vrindavan along with 5 other Goswamis. He was ordered to go to Vrindavan by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and redevelop the places of Krishna's pastimes. Before the Goswamis went to Vrindavan, Vrindavan was kind of lost. No one went there. It was just an old village, and there were some ruined temples, and that was it. And when the Goswamis went there in the early 16th century, they began to build temples, and by their devotional vision, they understood where was the sites of Krishna's pastimes, and they established temples and ashrams in those different places. And from the work of Rupa Goswami, the whole of Vrindavan has been developed. And of course we know that by the influence of my Diksha Guru, the Guru of ISKCON, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, now Vrindavan is like a booming town, almost a city. You guys know Vrindavan? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So now anyway, so Rupa Goswami, along with Sanatana and Jiva, they set down so many different books describing about the process of bhakti, the development of the soul, the awakening of the soul, and the progress through sadhana bhakti to raganuga bhakti. Sadhana means we perform exercises in the development of devotional life, like they call japa mala, chanting on japa beads, devotional work in the temple, maintaining the temple, cooking for Krishna, doing arti for Krishna. All these, the methods through which we can do this so that Krishna will be pleased and our gurus will be pleased, has been given by Rupa and Sanatana. So we have summaries of those books given by our gurus, and we live our lives based on that. Okay, number 7. As ecstatic people all over the world are attaining the treasure of love of Krishna, they are dancing and singing your glories. To teach the essence of the highest knowledge and to preach it all to all, you have established many ashrams all over the world. It's okay. Okay. You have mastery over the knowledge of the Vedas, both conceivable and inconceivable. So there's knowledge of the Vedas that is set down, that is understood by development of purity of the heart. And these things come into the heart by the grace of the higher gurus and ultimately the grace of Krishna. It comes down to us and awakens the soul. So this is saying that Srila Govinda Maharaj knew this. And beyond that, the conceivable means things we can understand with our small minds and intelligence. And then beyond that, the inconceivable, like the understanding of the universe and the multiple universes that comprise creation. And what is beyond there, the spiritual realm, to understand that. Impossible. The capacity of our mind and intelligence is not sufficiently developed. We can't know it. But yet, by the higher grace, the great guru, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, he knows that he can access anything. It's something like he had access to like the original computer, and as things were needed for his devotional life, he could download anything. Something like that. He had access to the higher realm of transcendental knowledge. So he could see it and understand it and convey to us as best he could through sound and words. The experience of the heart is conveyed, and that was very strongly given by Srila Govinda Maharaj. Anybody who came in contact with him was overwhelmed. Not anybody, but most people actually, was overwhelmed by his kindness and his goodness. And the feeling of being with him was like being in a different world. It really was. It was like a giant Vaikuntha bubble that we were allowed to enter into. Vaikuntha means the spiritual realm, where there is Vaikuntha, means where there is no anxiety. So anyway, I'll read on. Your glories are being sung in the spiritual world of Goloka, the realm of your pastimes, by your servants who are eternally liberated. So even in Goloka, he's known. That Goloka is Krishna's world. Goloka Vrindavan is the highest realm of spiritual existence, where the Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead, resides in Goloka and engages in his transcendental Leela pastimes, which, if you think about it, naturally, if someone is the source of existence and can do anything he wants, what will he do? Will he sit on a throne with a beard? Like, that's the best conception that is there in the hazy theology of Western religion. They don't understand about the nature of God. But by the grace of the Supreme and the development of purity in the great souls in India, the understanding of the nature of the supreme realm has come. And it's not accessible, really. I mean, we're taught about how Krishna does things, and it appears like ordinary his cowherd boys playing, or he's a child with his mother, or he's dancing with his girlfriends. All these things seem like ordinary to us, but actually they're in a pure realm of love, where there's nothing there except in his friends, except love and full giving to him. No personal selfish desire. This is Goloka, that place where everything is given to Krishna through the divine agency of Srimati Radharani, who is the perfect form of devotional surrender and action, Srimati Radharani. And from her, the whole energy of love pervades all existence. As Srimati Radharani, she loves Krishna, and that loving energy comes all the way through to even this plane and below. It's the power of love, and everybody knows it. Everybody feels it, but they don't know what the source of it is. And in the world, everyone is perplexed because love comes to an end, either within this life or by the agency of death. It always ends. So it's a very perplexing thing, because we naturally want some kind of experience of love that doesn't end, because by nature we're a soul within. We want the experience of the soul, and that is Sat Chit Ananda, eternity, Sat. We live forever. Chit, we know about who we are and what we're supposed to do in our life. That is, to fully serve and to give. And then Ananda, that world where everything that happens gives us the fullest experience of happiness and pleasure. That is the Ananda of Goloka, the place where the Krishna is. And we work, maybe through many lifetimes, maybe in one lifetime, nobody knows, but we work to develop our consciousness so that we become a purely surrendered servant. And he can send us anywhere in the realm of this world or bring us back to Goloka to be with him. When someone is in that high consciousness, it doesn't matter where he is, because his experience of connection with Krishna makes him alive in the spiritual realm, even when he's in this world. So that's why Srila Govinda Maharaj, being with him was like being inside of a spiritual dome or bubble or something. It was, quite amazing. And of course, it was like that also with Srila Sridhar Maharaj in a different way, in a different mood, and Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami, in a different way, in a different mood. So then, to deliver the fallen souls, you are like a breeze of mercy. You are expert in all service, and you are established in truth and gravity. Tattva, truth, means, ultimately, everybody seeks after truth. The scientists, everybody wants to know what is the truth. And the truth of existence is the existence of the Supreme Personality. The existence of Krishna, that's the truth. And everything else that's true emanates from that. Everything else that's good emanates from that. Everything else that's selfless and loving emanates from that. So we all have experience of these different things, along with beauty and love, so many different subtle experiences that are filtering through the covering of the called Maha-tattva, the great energy of illusion. Anyway, we get a chance to feel something of that, and through that feeling, we get a chance to understand the potential of reality, not temporary but permanent. That's Goloka Vrindavan, and Srila Govinda Maharaj is there. Your beautiful and unprecedented writing reflects your deep scholarship. You are always smiling and speaking sweet words, which remind one of your soothing poetry. He wrote very beautiful poetry, both Bangla and Sanskrit. He was expert Sanskritist, and wrote a beautiful pranam mantra for Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He did it in one day. It's a very, I don't know, maybe 16 lines or something. Very deep glorification in perfect grammatically perfect Sanskrit. He studied Sanskrit by the order of Srila Sridhar Maharaj for something like 14 years. And so he was a scholar in Sanskrit and a scholar in conveying the experience of spiritual life and the means through which we can develop ourselves spiritually. He was expert in conveying to us how to do these things. You are always straightforward and humble, and you are always joyful in the association of pure devotees. In a spiritual gathering, you are always the best speaker. In every field of life, you always come out victorious. This was the nature of Srila Govinda Maharaj. He was so connected with Krishna that everything seemed to work for him. Sometimes there was delays, and sometimes things appeared like they weren't working, but ultimately we saw that everything kind of fell into place in a magical way. Like in Vrindavan, it's in central Vrindavan, it's almost impossible to get any land now. Because so many people want the land, and it's for the past 40 years people have been madly trying to get land. But by higher arrangement, Srila Govinda Maharaj got a parcel right in central Vrindavan next to probably the most holy place in Vrindavan, which is Radha Damodar temple, and where the samadhi of Rupa Goswami is, the originator of our sampradaya. So anyway, it was amazing grace, and there's a whole story behind it. A dead phone rings, and somebody's on the line saying he'll give him the property because he knows he'll use it in the right way, even though he has higher bidders, and so like that it worked out. And so now we have a beautiful temple in Vrindavan by the power and the nature of Srila Govinda Maharaj. In the sky of the Gaudiya Vaishnava world, you are a preceptor who is prominent like the sun. You are always fond of service, and your sweet voice inspires others to do service also. Now this is the Paramahamsa Vaishnava. He just by his voice, you become inspired to give, to serve, to begin to enter into the world of Krishna by opening the heart and starting to think, oh, wow, I'm a servant. I'm supposed to give my life in service to the Supreme, give my existence to the Supreme. And slowly, we begin to feel that. Slowly, we begin to know that. And slowly, we begin to become free from the bondage of the temporary world and the temporary body. We begin to realize we're the driver in a car. We're not the car. This body is not us. The soul is the self. And, you know, it's very revolutionary, because even in some Western theologies, they think that the self is somehow mixed up with the body. But generally, in every, so many varieties of theology in India, even Vaishnava theology, there's Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, then I can't remember. In Gujarat, who is that Vaishnava? Vallabhacharya, yes. Vallabhacharya. Anyway, there's so many that are preaching particular experiences of, you know, development of love for Krishna in different moods. Many of the prayers of the devotees of Ramanuja are very similar to the prayers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. Why? Because they're praying in the same kind of mood. That the best translation is loving surrender. We try to you know, bow down and surrender and give up the ahankara, the ego. I want to do this, I want to do that for me. That's the key thing that has to be lost, for me. We have to try to be for Krishna. And the pure Vaishnava, he shows us how to do that. So Srila Govinda Maharaj did that, and now he's given the authority and the spiritual power to 7 acharyas who are carrying on that line. Okay, so we'll finish. Past, present, and future, for all eternity, we beg your mercy. Tomara karuna mage trikala vilasa. Trikala, the 3 times, past, present, and future. We beg that. We beg that you give your kind mercy to help us, because really, the entanglement of this material energy, the Maya dakshena prakriti, Krishna says. Maya is my energy. And the entanglement of Maya is so powerful, we can't possibly overcome it. But by higher mercy, we can overcome it. So here it says that the devotees are begging for the mercy of the great Vaishnava. And by that higher mercy, the illusory energy gradually kind of dissipates, like a fog dissipates in the morning, something like that. The illusion gradually goes away, and we begin to see what the real world is. Otherwise, we just see kind of hazy. Now we're seeing hazy things. But as we develop, we'll be able to begin to see something there behind the fog that's the real world. And that clearing of the fog comes about by the clearing of our hearts that is possible by the grace of the Vaishnavas, the great gurus. So only by your mercy will one receive devotional service to Sri Sri Gandharvika Giridhari. So Gandharvika is Srimati Radharani, and Giridhari is Krishna, the one who carries the Giri, the hill, Govardhan, Lord Krishna. So that by the grace of Guru, we come to get Krishna. And it said, by the grace of Krishna, we come to get Guru. We pray in our hearts, please help me, show me how I can learn about who I am and what my existence is for. And praying in that way to, general God, or directly to Krishna, or, in any way, in any name given. Allah, Adonai, Yahweh, these names, we're told, also have potency. So if people are praying in that way with a deep heart, by higher grace, they're given the direction to go to the shelter of a teacher. And this is going on everywhere. In spite of they're not knowing it, it's going on. People are choosing different churches based on, the particular person who's giving the sermon. They're looking for a teacher, and that's the principle of guru. It's everywhere. The people who are going to school, in graduate school, they're looking for a mentor, a person who they can study under and learn from, who's already experienced in the path of, academic education that they're into. That's also the principle of guru. So these things that are pointed out to us in so many aspects of our life in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, these things like pervade all of existence and what we can see in this world. Like, for example, Varnashram. Krishna says, what is it? Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. So by guna and karma, I've arranged this Varnashram. So it's everywhere. In every society, there's teachers, there's priests, then there's warriors and leaders and organizers, Kshatriya, Brahmin, and business people, farmers, Vaishyas, and workers, Shudras. Everywhere, every society is like that. We used to point out that in the Soviet Union, they have this idea that everyone is the same, but everywhere you see divisions. The people who are in the Air Force have better accommodations. The people who are in the government have better accommodations. They drive in big cars. They have, so many things that are arranged differently. So there's different arrangements based on the order and the nature of each individual, which in turn is based on guna karma, the position of the person at the time of death brings about a new body at the time of birth. So we're just right now in a cycle. Based on our activities for ourselves, we generate reactions that come in a good way or a bad way. What is it? Vikarma, bad way. Punya karma, good way. And then beyond that, there's akarma, which is acting beyond the realm of karma. And that means acting not for yourself, but for Krishna. And in the practice of bhakti, we learn to do that, to act for Krishna. So we were given the example that if you pull the plug on a fan, the fan keeps spinning, but eventually it comes to a stop. So our cycle of samsara is there. We've accumulated things from the past that will continue to come to us. But if we stop acting selfishly and begin to act for Krishna, and this can be done anywhere in any circumstance. It doesn't matter. It's just the heart that we have to try to give ourselves to Krishna. And by doing that, we gradually take ourselves out of the cycle of samsara. Okay. I'm not exactly following according to the plan. But, okay. So, O my Lord, who is the manifestation of the mercy of Sri Gauranga, be merciful to me. Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. So he's praying that this Prabhu, this Lord, Sri Gora Prakash, he has the light of Gora, the manifestation of his mercy. You please give to me Kripa Koro. Oh, hey, Prabhu, you please give me your mercy. This insignificant servant of yours is always praying in this way while worshiping you. So this is a glorification of a great Vaishnava, and we have many glorifications like that. Right now we're in the midst of our kirtan time, which I've kind of taken up. But anyway, where's the kirtan people? We have to start another chant. Do these ladies need the book? Will it help?
Maybe we can sing the Maha Mantra for...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whichever song.
You want to play the mridanga, Didi?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Maha Mantra, okay. So does everyone know Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we'll begin the kirtan with the glorification of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, which is there. It's called Pancha-tattva mantra. The five tattvas, the five truths, great souls, who come along with Lord Chaitanya, or including Lord Chaitanya, to give us the Hare Krishna mantra. It said the Hare Krishna mantra is the Yuga Dharma, which means the process through which we can awaken ourselves in this age of Kali, which is a low age, the Iron Age. We have Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. The universe goes through cycles, we're told. And each cycle is comprised of millions of years. And these kinds of numbers, have been in the Shastra since the advent of this age, thousands of years. But only recently have the geologists began to understand the length of the existence of the planets in the universe. And it's really interesting. I took geology when I went back to school I dropped out of university in 1968 and went back to school in 1990 to finish. And I took a geology course, even though my major was South Asian studies. Anyway, at this university, you had to take all kinds of physics and biology and geology, and the scientists had to take philosophy and English literature and civilizational studies and stuff like that. So anyway, I was in geology class, and they gave us the age of the planet that's calculated by geologists. And based on that, I took a look at the age of the planet based on our position in the day of Brahma, which is how the timing works on a universal scale. It's based on the day of Brahma, then the night of Brahma, all the beings in the universe go dormant. And then again they come out in the day of Brahma. It's like that. Anyway, the calculation that I did was, I was astounded. It was within like 1/10 of 1% of the calculation of the geologists. I told my geology teacher, and she just, kind of shook her head and said, "Well, that's interesting." But later, this geology teacher said the chances of civilization and the physical forms and all these things developing through some kind of process of natural selection is about as impossible as if you blow up, explode with dynamite a pile of wood, and after blowing it up, it falls into the form of a house. That's how, that's how possible it is that this is all kind of developed accidentally. It's not an accident. The eye is so fine and so developed, they can't even really understand how eyes developed, because there's a higher order that's there behind all this, and that order is indicative of the eternal presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and the I lost. What was I saying? Oh, there's an order. Yeah, the geologist can perceive this also, that somehow or other in the development of the planets, everything, there's an order and an arrangement behind everything. And as we develop in, it's called sumedasa, which is fine spiritual intelligence, we begin to see how everything is actually wonderful. It's actually amazing how it's all been put together and how beautiful everything is, even though it's temporary. It's still, astounding how it possibly has happened. And we're told the Paramahansa Vaishnava lives in a world where he's always stunned with how amazing everything is, because he's connected with Krishna, and he sees how it's all been done by some higher miraculous arrangement. So we'll just chant the Panchatattva mantra and then the Hare Krishna mantra. Everyone please join. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey Tiger, Haribo, 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 Haribo. Tiger, Haribo, 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 Gaura, Haribo. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Jai Subharikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaja Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakhak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Visvavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mata Ki Jai. Sri Govinda Kunda Ki Jai. Sri Sada Shiva Gangadhar Ju Ki Jai. Sri Aparada Bhyanjan Parta Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mata Ki Jai. Samaveta Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So this, when she's singing Nitai Gauranga, it's said, we have a scripture called Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's described there how Krishna and Balaram have come in the Kali age to give us a chance to return to their place. Nitai Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. And especially Krishna carrying the color and the mood of Srimati Radharani. So it's very fine theology, but it's actually a fact that Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose deity we have here, Murti of Sri Chaitanya, Gauranga Sundar, the beautiful Gauranga, the Lord of Gaura, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, where was I going? Oh, right. Who advented along with Balaram Nityananda Prabhu to deliver this world. And it's found in, it's called Gaura Ganudeshika Deepika. It describes how Krishna's associates from Vrindavan descended to assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his pastimes. And we read this, and it's kind of, difficult to understand, but based on our experience with our gurus about, the reality of their divine presence, we kind of accept it with faith that, yes, it's possible. It's possible for, Sanskrit, you probably know, avatar. It's possible that someone can come down from the higher world to this world. It's possible, and it actually happens, and it's described that they appear like normal people, but in actuality, they're high spiritual beings. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like that, and he is the Yuga avatar. He's come for this age to give what I said before, the Yuga Dharma, which is to chant, sing the glories of Sri Krishna in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And by the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, executed by his surrendered devotees who are surrendered to their gurus, to their gurus, to their gurus, down the line of, it's called Sampradaya, down that line, the transmission comes to us. And it's a spiritual transmission. It's not an ordinary, just, like you listen to a rock and roll song or something, and then you listen to Hare Krishna. It's just a nice tune. We like it because it describes Krishna. But no, there's more than that. It's a subtle vibration that conveys a spiritual experience from the heart of the divine master, someone who knows Krishna, to your heart. And then depending on your degree of receptivity, it has effect. So gradually, hearing over and over the Hare Krishna mantra, it begins to break down the coverings of the triguna, the coverings of the material nature, tamas, rajas, sattva, and various subtle combinations. That those combinations of the gunas produce our bodies and our minds and our natures. And so the Maha Mantra breaks down that false identity and brings out the real identity of the soul. It has that kind of power. And it's only a matter of plugging in to the current of the conveyance. If you chant, with heart, like, oh, Krishna, let me, know you, let me come to be your servant. If you just do that 5 minutes a day, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare, like that, with some, like the great Vaishnavas do, they call out like Krishna's in the next room. Krishna, Krishna, where are you? Come. Something like that. And so if we, like with heart and sincerity, call out to Krishna through the agency of the mantra, the Yuga Dharma, our hearts will become gradually cleansed and purified. And it's happening by the power of the mantra. Everybody who hears it, it has some effect. And gradually more and more, that effect develops in the heart. And more one can become closer and closer to Sri Krishna, to the Supreme Lord, the source of our existence. So, what was the topic today that I was supposed to discuss? Oh, so they asked me to tell how it is that you've been involved in this since 1969. That's a long time, and I can't even understand how long it is. But if you add it up, it's what? 49? No, is it?
30 something.
49.
49,
Yeah, 49. That's a long time. And who do you know who's been singing the same song every day for 49 years? Is the guy nuts or what? there must be something to it. And that's my experience. Either I'm completely mad or there's really something happening. And I believe there's something happening because my gurus tell me something's happening. It may be slow. It may take me 5 or 10 lifetimes. I don't care. But it's happening. But it's like when you start rolling a snowball down the hill, it gradually accelerates and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So once you start chanting and once you get a little feeling for the mantra, then the ball starts rolling, and it builds, it builds, it builds, and eventually you reach the bottom of the hill. You reach the destination that we're all intended to go towards. And there's also a certain point which I haven't reached, but which I think some of my friends have, where it's a tipping point, where you are so much engaged in the service of Krishna that the power, Krishna's service, the power of the Maya, the illusory energy, it tips in favor of Krishna. And the illusory energy gets smaller and smaller and smaller. In the beginning, we're like this. Krishna's mercy, material energy, Krishna's mercy, material. It's hard to live a life in this world and simultaneously try to dedicate ourselves. But it's possible. We have so many examples of that. And because Krishna is God, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how abled or disabled you are. You'll get the experience. There's no qualification required. It doesn't matter, who your family is or where you live or anything. It has to do with inner spiritual experience, and everyone can have it, which is such an amazing thing. So when we go out, sometimes I think like this, and Srila Prabhupada told us this, when we go out in the street and chant, we're also chanting for the trees and the grass and the dogs, and every living being that's around us gets benefit. How is it that things are the way they are? It's inconceivable. That's our rendering of a book called Vedanta Sutra, which is Veda Antra, the end of the Vedas. It describes in kind of poetic terms about the journey towards the Absolute and reaching the Absolute. And our interpretation is called Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Tattva, the truth of inconceivable, Beda Beda, simultaneous, one in difference. So in spirit, we're one with God. We're all spirit. But in quantity, we're very small, different. So Achintya Beda Beda, and it's inconceivable. I lived in the mountains, and I went up higher in the mountains to a big forest. And I was on kind of a peak, looking out at the forest, and as far as you could see, like to the open horizon, there's trees. And I'm thinking, every tree is a soul? Is that possible? And it just, my brain exploded. And so I told Srila Govinda Maharaj that Gurudev, I was standing there and I thought, how is it possible? And he said, yes, it's inconceivable. The number of, what are they, planets that they can see. How many do they perceive now? 1 billion or something? And as far as we're described, this is like one universe. And then there's like, we just read this morning in Shastra that there are millions of universes. Koti. You've heard that, Koti? 10 million, right? Koti I forget, but universes. So, how it's just inconceivable. But that's like, through logic and understanding, we come to the point of accepting and realizing that the quest for truth is actually beyond our reach. And we have to seek the understanding from above. It has to come down to us. Well, otherwise we can't, it has to be like given to us, shown to us. Otherwise it's not possible. There's one story of our guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who was confronted by a man who said that, God, how can God show himself if he's absolute? How can he be absolute if he's showing himself? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj replied, if the infinite, the absolute, cannot reveal himself to the finite, the small, how can he be absolute? How can there be some action that's out of his capacity? It's not possible. So Krishna, God, can reveal himself in our heart, and we can feel it and know it, but it's actually inconceivable. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, you'll know this because it's a feeling. You start to feel it. It's not, it's not quantifiable. You can't figure it out with a microscope or something. It's beyond the range of physical or mental comprehension, but it's possible. And all these Shastra, volumes, even in our line, what to speak of the Ramanuja line, the Madhva line, the Vallabhacharya line, there's, each line has got so much expression of the power of revelation. Amnaya, is that right? Amnaya? It means descending knowledge that comes to us by the grace of the higher world. And so there's thousands of books that talk about it. And they talk about it in Christianity, they talk about it in Islam, Sufi Islam, the other more legalistic Islam. They don't believe there can be realization, and some Christian sects don't believe that God can give realization, but some do, and some write about it in very beautiful, poetry and literature. You find that in the Sufi literature, in the Christian literature, and what to speak of the Vedic literature. So how is it that all over the world there are people who are having these experiences all through time and writing about them? With logic we can understand there's a good chance something's there. So with our intelligent quest, seeking, we should understand if it's possible that it's there, I should check it out. And if I don't check it out, I'm missing something. If it's possible, and there's a way given through which you can connect with it, and people say that it's possible, and what to speak of, through time, a line of great visionaries say that it's possible, why not give it a try and see what's there? What is there to lose? The temporary life that's going to end very soon anyway. So you have a life, a human life, that can perceive this the quandary of existence in the material world. We can see it. We can feel it, and more realize that we're not intended to be here. There's something else, and we can reach that something else through making connection. And in this age, that connection, that stream of grace comes in the form of the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra. And that's the base. And then along with that, once one begins to feel bhakti, there's practices of bhakti that one does to develop the mood of devotion, like our arti. What is the arti? It's an expression of giving back to the Lord. We may think, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Oh, I'm giving this back to the Lord. But in actuality, really we're acknowledging that He owns everything. So arti really means I'm giving myself and everything else that I have to this Lord, this personality. You know, and everybody who's chanting is thinking like that. Let me give myself to my Lord. And the pujari is thinking like this. Oh, please accept this, my dear Lord. I'm trying to give to you. This is like, it's described in one of our books called Narad Pancharatra. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. Narad Pancharatra. It talks about the, is there another one? Do you remember, is there another one? I forget. That describes anyway, the very ancient text from which our gurus at the time of the beginning of Vrindavan drew many instructions about, you know, how to develop in spiritual life. And these are all set down by them, procedures for deity worship, how to do it properly, how to, properly approach the Lord, properly offer, properly chant in kirtan, properly chant japa. All these things have been set down and told to us from long time. Narad means Narad Muni. You know, and that is like way back, who knows when. Just coincidentally, more and more, even the archaeologists who, you know, in my time have been so skeptical about the possibility of civilizations before, you know, the last 2,000 or 3,000 years. But now they're actually finding some remains, 10,000, 15,000 years. They think the Sphinx is more than 10,000 years old. You know, what's going on? There's life, there's existence that's been there for, you know, eons of time. And a really cool thing that I learned in geology, that they think that the landmass was all one big landmass. And eventually it started to break up, and India popped off and was floating. And there's actually descriptions in the text how India is an island. I don't know if you guys have ever run into that, but it actually says like that India is an island. And it was an island, you know, millions of years ago. And then it collided with the continent, and the Himalayas came up, and that whole thing. But you know, the ancient scriptures are in many ways corroborated now by, you know, modern understandings. What to speak of physics? You know, they're now thinking that everything in the world is not really solid like we think, but it's waves of energy. And those waves of energy are affected by the presence of human consciousness. They're moved. So, and you know, Bhagavad Gita, the Shastra has told us for, you know, forever, for thousands of years, that the material world is illusory. It's, you know, composed of dead matter that's propelled by the presence of souls. From Srimati Radharani, the spirit of love is emanating, pervading the universes, and that spirit enters through, you know, our soul, which descends to experience existence outside of the realm of serving and loving God. You know, and why is that? Why would we choose something like this? You know, there's a, you know, in scriptures there's whole description how the soul comes, you know, through free will, makes a choice and comes to this realm. But the basis of it is that the nature of love given by Srimati Radharani that pervades the universe is voluntary. It's not forced. It's not automatic. So naturally, if there's a voluntary love in the spiritual world, there must be a place where people don't love Krishna, where people go to love themselves. And this is the material world. And then we have descriptions, you know, Chauda Bhuvana, 14 levels of consciousness within this world. Based on our development of conscious understanding of spiritual principles, we go up or down. And it's part of the cycle. Sometimes we go high and live and have beauty. You can see it in this world. Some people are just set up somehow or other by their karma. They just have a lot of money. You know, they're beautiful. They have all these different things. This is like a glimpse of what the region of the devas is. And then there are some people who are in terrible situation. You know, they may be in pain from birth and all these different things. And that's a glimpse of what is the lower regions. And it's said that this is Bur. The level we're on is Bur. It's the in the middle, the 7th level down from the top. And so in this life, if we're very good, we go up. If we're very bad, we go down. If we're so-so, we stay we stay here. So anyway, yeah, the point being, we've entangled ourselves in the material world. It's consciousness that's produced the temporary energy. So how do we change our consciousness and leave the material energy? That's the science of spiritual life. You know, it's a developed like internal science. It has to do with the process of transforming the self, you know, or the conscious perception of the self, from a person who's thinking, oh, I'd really like to get this, grab it. Work really hard, get money, grab it. You know, to a person who's thinking, you know, let me live in this world, maintain myself according to my particular position, but let my main job be inside. To you know, develop my consciousness so that I can come closer to you know, my original natural position as a servant. You know, it doesn't matter what you have to do in terms of jobs in this world. What matters is what you carry in your heart. And this is the, you know, this is the message of our gurus. So I just started in the time span. From 1969 to 2018, in November it will be 49 years. And then in November of the next year, it'll be 50 years. What? Yeah. We all know how time passes is very, very much inconceivable. What is time? Krishna says, Kalaham in Bhagavad Gita, time I am. And what does he say? I have come to destroy all the worlds. Time destroys everything. And it so happens that when they set off the first atom bomb, the guy who designed it was a German who they got from, you know, Germany after the war, you know, or I don't know, they captured him or something, maybe in 44. And anyway, the guy who was key in developing it was Oppenheimer, and he said that verse from Bhagavad Gita when the atom bomb went off. Time I am, destroyer of the worlds. You know, it's pretty amazing how contained in a little atom that we can't even see is this massive, you know, potential of energy. You know, it's just that in itself is kind of mind-boggling. Maybe they have some explanation for it, I don't know. But it's, you know, how could so much energy be in a little atom? Where does it come from? You know, what's going on? It's like so many people study sociology, psychology, why things are happening in different ways to people. Why a person thinks in a certain way, whether he's healthy or diseased in his mind. Another person studies how the how the body works. Another person studies how social norms determine ways in which we act and stuff like that. And but the spiritual question is, you know, what's behind all this? Why is it all propelled? What's brought it about? That's like the underlying question, really, of existence. And that's what universities should be studying. And maybe they will. Maybe they're starting to. You know, I don't know. But that's what our life should be. Is, you know, within. Let me go towards my Lord. And, you know, it may take me 1 lifetime or 100 lifetimes, but there's really nothing else. It's just matter. It's just birth and death. You know, and trying to find some solace in the temporary. You know, we have to see in terms of long passages of time, many lifetimes that we may have. What's that story of the guy standing on one leg on a beach for like, you know, hundreds of years or something, and someone comes up and asks him, "You've been here for hundreds of years. Why don't you build a house or a hut or something?" And he says, "I'm just here temporarily." So like that, we have, my first Guru Srila Prabhupada told us, we have an eviction notice. We know we have to leave. This, say you have an eviction notice from your apartment or house. In 2 months you have to leave. So what do? You kind of minimize what you're doing in the place where you have to leave, and you try to maximize your search for the next place to go to. You know, you know what's going to happen. You're going to be evicted. So in a similar way, we know we'll be evicted from this body. So naturally, we should make preparation for where we're going to go to, and make some beginning direction towards the spiritual side. And because Krishna guarantees in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do for me will never be lost. That means that if we act for Krishna, it's there in our heart. It's like a bank deposit that's eternal. It will always be there, life after life. And life after life will grow, you know, and eventually become free. Or, you know, get really focused and in 1 lifetime or 2 lifetimes become free from the material energy and, you know, lost in love and service. And, you know, all these things are described. What the world is like, what the people do there, how it's done, in you know, in terms that we can perceive. But if these books, the Shastra, is read not like in an academic way, just to understand what's there mentally or intellectually, but to read it feeling like this is a living, you know, a living transmission that's before me, and something is being given, through the words, is coming into me and going to my heart and, and cleansing me. To take it in that way as like a holy transaction. That I get to read this, I get to try to understand it. But beyond that, I'm getting some connection with, with the higher realm by the grace of my Guru who's given me this Shastra, this book. So like in that way, to read, not to read and analyze and take apart what the language is and this and that, which is what they do mostly at universities. Sometimes I have to say that it's increasing where there's an idea to study about belief and study about, what's happening with people who believe. Because if you look around the world, pretty much the majority of people are, acting on some belief. So that, that should be studied. Not that we just study about those who don't believe, which is what they previously did. To read it, feeling like this is a living, a living transmission that's before me, and something is being given, through the words, is coming into me and going to my heart and, and cleansing me. To take it in that way as like a holy transaction. That I get to read this, I get to try to understand it. But beyond that, I'm getting some connection with, with the higher realm by the grace of my Guru who's given me this Shastra, this book. So like in that way, to read, not to read and analyze and take apart what the language is and this and that, which is what they do mostly at universities. Sometimes I have to say that it's increasing where there's an idea to study about belief and study about, what's happening with people who believe. Because if you look around the world, pretty much the majority of people are, acting on some belief. So that, that should be studied. Not that we just study about those who don't believe, which is what they previously did.
What would your top tip be for spiritual seekers? One most important thing.
Top tip.
Based on your own experience.
Yeah. I would say, pray a lot with sincerity. Reach out with sincerity. And, what is it? The Bible says something like, call and ye shall be answered. Something, it's like that. It may take some time, but things will happen. Like, now I'm praying, show me what I'm to do in your service, what I'm to do to cleanse myself so that in the next life I can be in a position to increase my service to you. I'm thinking like that naturally, because maybe I didn't think I thought of it theoretically when I was 20 or 30 because I was already involved. But really, you think of it theoretically when you're younger, but when you get older, it gets real. So, you see your friends, all of a sudden some of your friends are gone, and, whoa, what's happening here? It's, it's the material world, buddy. You're in the material world. You're not, it's not going to work out for you. Sorry. If whatever you accumulate is going to be gone. So yeah, top tip, pray a lot and to make connection. And, if you have a feeling, pray through the chanting of Hare Krishna. Call out to Krishna. Hare, Hare is Srimati Radharani, the energy of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. It's said that the sound of Rama is has a conscious effect. If you say Rama for Lord Ramachandra, the direction is in that way. If you say Rama in terms of Radha Ramana, which is what the Vaishnavas say, that the Hare Krishna mantra is wholesale Krishna. Both ways. Rama is Radha Ramana in Vrindavan. So, and some people think it's Balaram. But no, it's Radha Ramana. We got that from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So both are Krishna. And we're calling out Hare, Srimati Radharani, the energy of the Lord. The person, the ultimate final personality who, beyond our comprehension, gives and serves the Lord, and is the source of, all that feeling of giving and sacrifice and service. Those kinds of things pervade the feeling of love. And the idea of taking in love is just, it doesn't quite fit. While, in the material world, people try to fit it in, but it really doesn't quite fit, because love means, fully giving. And it's like that because that's how it really is in a pure sense.